Welcome to Ciao Bella, hosted by me, Erica Firpo, a travel journalist based in Rome. Each episode of Ciao Bella, I sit down with Italy's creators, contemporary artists and artisans, designers, culinary experts, heritage brands, and innovative aesthetes, and more who are defining and redefining 21st century Italy. Pull up a chair and join in.
I think bagels are just awesome.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am with Steve and Linda Martinez Brenner, the dynamic duo from Rome that many people have met over time. They are the owners of the Beehive, a hostel, and more than a hostel, it's like a creative space that I think over the past 20 years that it's been in existence, people have come to love and cherish. We're not really here to talk about the Beehive.
We're not here to talk about it and Steve either.
We're here to talk about my stomach. We're here to talk about bagels.
Let's talk about our daughters.
I'm really happy to have you guys here today. I've known you guys for, I was going to say 20 years, but that's a lie because you guys have been here for 20 years, or more, a little bit, maybe 1999, so 22 years?
Yeah, we've been here since 99. So
99,
it's 22.
so
But
it'll be
we've known
22
you
this
since
year.
I think 2006, 2005,
Yeah.
something like that.
No, before that,
Before
because
that?
I
No.
think Paloma was she a baby?
No, it
No,
wasn't
Viola was a
Paloma. It
baby.
was brand
She was
new
born in
Viola.
2006.
Oh, Viola
It
was
was
a
like-
baby.
It was
Okay.
like, take
And
the
then
sticker
Tampa
off,
was born when, like 2007, 2008?
2008, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it must have been like 2006 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it was like brand spanking new Paloma.
I couldn't remember
Viola.
which baby it was. I knew there was a baby in there. I just couldn't remember which one.
So
Okay.
I'd love for you guys, if you guys want, just give a recap before we get to my stomach about you guys in Rome and what you're doing here.
Go for it. In under 30 seconds, do it quick.
Oh, good Lord. Like how we came here, or?
Oh, you guys came here and you guys spawned the Beehive.
Yeah, so we came here in 1999.
I lived here on and off in the mid 90s by myself, just kind of getting stuck here and then falling for it, and then went to LA where Linda was living, and then we decided to move back here together.
Yeah.
So in
after
99 we came
yeah.
here, we got married. We got married in 98, moved here in 99, specifically to open up the Beehive,
Yes.
and yeah, the rest is history.
By the way, I probably said this to you repeatedly, but I forget myself all the time, that I think it was not until this year that I got like the Beehive, like the Beehive,
Meaning?
like the bee for Brenner. Is that completely
Oh.
incorrect?
No connection.
That there's no
Oh,
connection.
Yeah.
oh my God! I really, honestly, I was like patting myself on the back for days that I got that.
Yeah, like
No.
the. Well, I mean, we didn't invent the word beehive, so it's not like. we
No,
did
but I thought it was
specifically
like
because it
I
started
thought
at
it
the
was
same-
like a
the
little
same
pun,
time.
like.
No,
totally unintended.
And also because
Yeah.
you started having
that
kids,
would've
like
been-
your hive.
Yeah, that would have been good, but no, we didn't. That
Wasn't
never even
intentional.
crossed our minds.
Never crossed
No.
my mind.
Hey, Linda, would you describe the Beehive so people can understand what kind of place we're in?
So, well, right now it's not quite. It's kind of a ghost of its former self right now, but or shadow of its former self right now. But normally there's people. There's a lot of life here. We have guests from all over the world, all different ages, all kinds of backgrounds, and we have a lot of people from Rome who come here also for different events that we do, and who
And
hold
for food stuff.
and
like,
for
'cause we
food
do
stuff,
dinners
yeah,
stuff
and
like
for different, just different events that we host or that they host themselves, and that we provide a space for. So that's the way it normally is, but not right now.
Well, right now we're still in the pandemic that everybody else is in, and one of the things that has made my pandemic experience a lot better is something that you guys have done, which is Beehive Bagels. And I think people are going to be like, all right, that's a left turn. Weren't expecting that. But I'm going to go back again till 2005 when I met Steve and Linda. We were hanging out. Your girl started hanging out with Amelia, and at some point we discovered that Steve makes tortillas, and that was great. And then you said, I want to make bagels. I think I'm going to try to make some bagels. And I was like, oh my God, that's such a brilliant idea. And then I immediately was like, we're going to be at your doorstep every week, like getting hot off the press bagels. And it never happened. And I'd like just let it go because I was like, I can go back to the US anytime and have a bagel. Flash forward to October.
Have you ever jumped on a plane and gone back to the U.S. just to get a bagel?
You know, I wish I could say I did, but
Okay.
But I have had friends that have come to visit me that have
brought them.
have brought like a bag of everything bagels,
Yeah.
which, as I told you last time, I was like, "Pff, that's no bagel for me.
You're a
Well, we've
convert now?
driven from France to Italy for pizza.
Yeah.
Okay, but that makes sense.
Through
The-
the Chamonix Tunnel.
Yeah.
The Mont Blanc, not the Chamonix, the Mont
The
Blanc
Mont
Tunnel.
Tunnel.
See that okay, but that's like us going. We go to Naples for a pizza.
Yeah.
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 You know, like I'm
I
not
know.
gonna like I don't mind Roman pizza, but I will go to Naples if I really want a pizza.
Yeah.
I'll be like, we're going to Naples.
Yeah. Yeah.
So flash forward to October, and the next thing I know, I'm going through the Beehive feed and I see bagels, and I was like, what? So let's talk a little bit about this bagel adventure.
Okay. Well, I don't remember when I first made them. Do you? Like
Like when you, I mean, because he's started getting very much into bread. I mean, pre-pandemic even. He's always been the cook of the family. He's always cooking. He was always cooking here at the Beehive, always baking.
And so I'm sure I was making bread.
So
when we met.
you were making.
Yeah,
bagels.
you
He
were
was
making bread.
tortillas and
Yes,
stuff
he
like
was making bread and bagels here for our guests. So it was something that he started doing.
And I know a lot of it was always like to try and make stuff and learn how to make stuff that we couldn't get here. So like hence tortillas and stuff like that. So, but I don't remember if I was making bagels like on Via Postumia or not.
I don't
Maybe
recall. I don't recall. But,
But
I mean, I know that I never was privy to them.
no.
But did I make
I
them
don't
in
think.
Bali? Because I remember we had them when we would travel. Like we would bring, because that was how Julia and I got our whole high altitude bagel thing. That
Yeah.
a sort of inside bagel joke between my oldest daughter. But I don't remember. Could we buy them in Bali, or did I make them
No,
there?
I think you could buy them there.
Okay, maybe I don't know.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
But
I don't. So I don't remember how the story starts. But anyway, I started making bagels, and on really small scale, like, and then we would keep them here for guests. Like we had them on our menu here at the hostel, and for breakfast. And they never really sold that well. Like people liked them, but they weren't a big seller. And I think it's because people who were traveling, maybe weren't that, having had bagel, what's the word I'm looking for? Like bagel abstinence, for too long. So
Like penchant for bagels.
yeah,
Yeah.
like maybe they hadn't been away from them for long enough to make it really worth their while. Yeah, but we around October we were sitting here doing absolutely nothing, and
Yeah, because at that point the second wave had started,
yeah,
and all
second
the
wave hit,
on all the restrictions. What's going on there?
and
And all the restrictions started happening.
but we were still here because there were some people who were kind of stuck and traveling, and they wouldn't make reservations. They would just buzz at the last minute and see if we had rooms, and so we couldn't really be away at home in Orvieto, which is like an hour and a half away, in case somebody wanted to stay. So we would find ourselves here with no arrivals, like no scheduled arrivals, no departures, and just nothing to do. And we're staying in a room, so which is essentially just the bed, So just kind of lying there, staring at the ceiling, doing nothing.
I know. So
And,
then I was just one day I was like, look, do you mind if I post? He had just made some bagels at home the weekend before, I think, and I was like, look, would you mind if I posted saying that you would make bagels for anybody who
But it wasn't
wants
just
them?
bagels; it was bread, it was crackers,
Yeah,
it was
yeah, it was all
tortillas.
kinds
It was
of
kind of a
stuff.
bunch of stuff that I make. And she was like, "Look, you're here. We have the kitchen. Would you mind making stuff for people if they want it?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." From under the covers, essentially, doing nothing.
like,
It was
"Yeah."
like, "Whatever you want to do."
So
And,
I did. I
yeah.
posted it. I posted it on Instagram and Facebook, and it just boom. Like we
Yeah,
got
it took off.
we got tons of orders.
And
Okay.
she made a cute little menu at first that had, all the the price list and what we made.
And I was
it had some
WhatsApping to
pictures
people and things
everything.
like that.
Yeah, no, at first
Yeah.
it was just all done by WhatsApp and Instagram.
And then he built
Right.
this website real quick.
yeah.
As one
Boom.
does, right? Well, but I'm just curious. So this is October 28th, I think you were telling me.
Yeah, that's when I
Yeah,
posted
yeah,
it. I think.
October.
Yeah. end of October.
And it was, what bagels were there? Was it just plain bagels?
No, we had sesame, we had poppy, and we
and
had
plain.
And then I think someone wanted like a mix of poppy.
No,
and-
Marcia de Salvatore. She wanted. She said you guys should have an everything bagel.
And I think Alyssa
And we
too
were
was
like,
like, you need to do
Yes,
everything.
and
bagels."
Alyssa too. And so,
So I was like,
they
"Alright,
were
whatever."
like, "Hey, you should have everything bagel." And we're like, "Okay, we'll have an everything
And
bagel."
I don't remember who wanted cinnamon raisin, but I was like, yeah, I can throw cinnamon
Yeah, I don't
raisins
remember
in
who
there too.
wanted that
and
one. But
then what did it expand to? And then the onion was the hardest. That was one that we were talking about. The onion took a while to get it to
and
get
then
quite right.
pumpernickel's the latest, and that was
Yeah.
another thing that he had to experiment with a little bit until he
Yeah.
could get it right.
No,
Okay,
the first
s-
ones were essentially just like plain
The-
and poppy and sesame.
the traditional or the triumvirate basic,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and so it was like, hey, some friends knew about it. The next thing you know, you were telling me, I think, that Linda, that it went from like, yeah, friends ordering bagels to 1,000 a week,
No, 1,000 in a few weeks.
1,000
we
in a
hit
few
the
weeks.
first 1,000 probably about 3 weeks in, and then the second 1,000 was even less.
Yeah.
And now it's about 1,000 a week.
Now it's about-
Now we
it's
do about
1,000,
1,000 bagels a
sometimes
week,
more,
yeah.
And now it's no longer, hey, we're just gonna be in the Beehive kitchen making some fun bagels.
No.
Maybe we'll try to make a cinnamon raisin.
No, it was
No.
actually really ridiculous. So we went, I would be sitting there making stuff in the kitchen and trying to do a million things at once because I'd be making crackers and sourdough bread and tortillas and just trying to
pickles, 'cause we do
and
the
pickles, yeah, and trying to just
pickles, as you
organize
know.
everything.
Oh, I know about
And the
them.
hummus and everything, just trying to organize everything, and it would be like every couple hours, okay, can you do another one for tomorrow? Can you do another one? And I would think, okay, yeah, so long as I can run out to the store, or so long as I can, maybe I can do it for the next day, depending on the times. But really, just saying yes to everything, and then finding myself buying almost every couple days, buying a bigger container to mix an amount of dough in that was just getting like obscenely large. Doing like 10 kilos of dough by hand in a tub, like an IKEA, those big plastic tubs that you buy when you do your like cambio di stagione.
Right.
Kind of working up to those and mixing them in there. I bought the first pack of like professional 25 kilos of flour for the first time, like within a few days. I was like, why am I buying, like little
You're
1
buying
kilo
like the little
packages at
kilo
a time?
packs.
Yeah, and going like multiple times to the store to buy all the stuff that I needed. And I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. So I mean, we found somebody to buy flour, and they delivered it right away. And then one pack went to like, okay, next time can you bring me 5? And just the downstairs, the kitchen area of the Beehive just started getting converted within about a week. Just had all these supplies and materials and just filling up all over the place. At first, it was all done in our oven here, and then we would go home on the weekends, and we would do them on the weekends as well. And we would bake on Monday morning, and I would bring down a few dozen to sell here. We would bake them there and then drive down and sell them here. But it was just every day, hours of the second I would finish, we would just start again, for the next days. And we just kept saying, yes to not wanting to turn people away. But we had about a week delay. We were full for about a week where people had to wait.
I was one of
for
those
their-
people who had to
for
wait.
their first orders in the beginning. And we really didn't want people to have to wait longer than that. So we were trying to scale up, and we were trying to buy. One of the problems was refrigeration space, and a way to keep all the bagels, in racks in the fridge. And so I didn't have anything to store them on, so we were trying to find, like here they sell, for pizzeria, they sell like the cassette, these like plastic, like stackable,
Oh, yeah.
like containers, but they're too big for a regular fridge. And the ones that are small enough that would fit in there aren't big enough to hold enough bagels, so it doesn't really utilize the space very well. So, a lot of it was just figuring out, like, how can I get, 60 bagels in, distributed between 2 or 3 fridges that we have, fridge space here. So a lot of it was just all this, really kind of tedious logistical problems of how to make this many. And then I went to our friend down the street, who's now our partner, Emanuele, and he and I have nerded out about pizza a lot. And he's also on the way from here to the store. So every time I would walk back and forth with my little carrello of getting, buying different supplies and stuff, we would pass by there, and I would pass by there, and I would chat with him. And so at some point I was asking him, we had friends who were saying they wanted to give us money to invest and buy commercial equipment. And I have no idea what commercial equipment to get. So I asked him, what kind of mixer would I get for something like this? Like, can you show me, like, how much dough can your mixer do? And he was kind of showing me some of his equipment in his oven and how much it might cost. We're talking, pizza oven like his was like
Because he's like
12,000
he's a
something.
pizza al taglio guy, right?
Yeah.
Which means pizza by the slice. So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
we're not like talking pies. We're talking
Yeah.
we're talking, what do you call it, like
Big
strips?
teglia, like big
Te-
pans.
yeah, the
you know,
teglia,
he'll do
yeah.
like huge pans of pizza. Yeah, so I asked him for advice first just about the equipment, and then I didn't want to consider buying something without using it. So I was like, "Do you think I could do some dough in your thing one time?" Which was kind of a weird request. I don't know him that well. I didn't at the time, so I was just kind of like, maybe I could give you some money to like rent your mixer or something. And he was like, "Yeah, whatever, just come and do it." And
By the way, did Emmanuel even know what a bagel was?
no. He had no idea. He never had one before. And so I brought him one time. So the first one he had was a plain bagel that I made here at the Beehive. I toasted it. I slathered it in butter, like a ton of butter, like good salty butter. I wrapped it in the kind of carta forno, like the oven paper, and then cut it in half, and then wrapped that in foil so it would stay warm. So it was just like if you went and got it from like a
Proper.
Manhattan bagel shop. And then stuck it in a little paper bag and brought it to him, and he and this employee Greta who works there, they split it in half, and he was just like, "That's really good." And then by the next time I'd gone to talk to him, he had been looking on his phone, like he'd Googled bagels, because he didn't really know like what are we shooting for, like what's the quintessential bagel? Does it need to be bigger than this? Does it need to be darker? Does it need to be like what exactly are you looking for in it? Because you can see pictures, but you can't get like, is it soft? Is it what's it
Right.
supposed to be like? Yeah, but anyway, going back to the production thing. I started using his mixer, and then he started doing it for me, where I would bring it or I would give him no, I think I would bring it, and then he would mix it for me in the afternoon, and I would bring this big tub, and then he would give me the dough, and I would bring the dough back here so that I could form them and bake them and everything.
Oh,
And that enabled me to go to about 7 dozen. So that was like 80, 90. But it would take me hours in my oven here. So then I asked him if we could use his oven, and and then I would pay him or something. And he was like, "Okay, let's try it on a weekend when he doesn't have to open the pizzeria." So we took a shit ton of orders without even knowing how they were going to turn out. Like we did, I don't know, we had like
A gamble.
12, and Linda, constantly asking me like, "Can we go to 12? Can we go to 13? Can we go to 14?" And I was just going like, "Sure,
Dozen.
I guess." For the 14 dozen, just kept saying yes, and not having any idea. We had the space problem at his place as well, not knowing how to store all this stuff. Anyway, at his we can do 60 bagels every 20 minutes. So because he has a 2-rack oven, and we can fit 2 pans of 15, so we do 60 at a time. Whereas here, in my oven, I can do like 12 at a time. So it saved a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. So we went super quick from being like a dozen home baker to being a commercial baker in about, I don't know, in 2 weeks. I think I had to learn how to think like a commercial baker and do it. Now we do like 250 is kind of our normal morning.
250 bagels.
Yeah.
And how many
250
days a week are you doing it?
We do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and sometimes Friday.
Okay.
Depending on if we have orders and stuff.
So that's another thing I find amazing is because yes, I know there is a community of expats who all very well know what a bagel is, and like myself, like I remember when I saw the post, I freaked out. I was like, "Darius, we're getting the bagels." We got our bagels. I called Linda. I think I probably left like, "Oh, we also got the pickles." I left like a pickle message. I was super excited because bagels and pickle, like the deli pickles are not quite a culture here. There's a different kind of like sotto aceto pickle that's popular, but when you like a good crunchy deli pickle, it doesn't happen here. Bagels for sure. Like it's not part of the culture. And so I called Linda. I was so excited, and then I was teasing you because you were like, "You have no idea how much work Steve is doing for this." So I started going, "It's time to make the bagels."
Yeah. I told I tried to explain that commercial to Emanuele also, the old Dunkin' Donuts commercials. I tried to explain it to him, and it just didn't make any sense.
Did you show him the YouTube?
Can't remember if I've
They
shown
have
him or
like 'em.
not.
They have-
Yeah,
they
that's.
have them all on
Do you remember I
YouTube.
was looking it up? I was trying to
Yeah.
find like the perfect one to show him.
Because you're getting up at like 5 a.m. to do this, or
Yeah, we usually. I mean, this is good because it's right down the street, and then we have a room. He lives far away, so he keeps a room here in case he runs late and wants to sleep
like
here.
bagel
he can.
emergencies?
What's that?
For bagel emergencies.
Yeah, exactly. For bagel emergencies, he has a room, and I have the keys. So sometimes if I'm up, I'll just go start early, but usually like 5:36, depending on how much we have to do. But I'm not a late sleeper anyway, so it's not. I'm like right now, I'm perpetually tired. I nap almost every day because I'm just exhausted. But Yeah, it's like 5:30 in the morning, but it's 2 blocks away. So I wake up literally 5 minutes before I roll out of bed and I put on my mechanics jumpsuit, which is what I bake in, which he makes fun of me for, and then I go.
Do the Bagel Bros have like a matching outfit?
That was we're working on that.
They're
We're working on
working on
that,
it.
and it was his idea too, which was so cute. He's like, hey Steve, what do you think we make some felpe that have like a bagel bro or something?
That is so cute. I was thinking coveralls, but I think Fatbe is good. That's.
I think I'm into the one zip, tuta.
Oh, like the
but,
full tooth.
Yeah, that's what I'm into. Yeah,
But he gets made fun of for that.
yeah. Haters gonna hate.
I just love it how you were like he had never taken a bite. And
Yeah,
now he takes a
And
thousand
now he actually eats more bagels than he does pizza. Yeah, he was telling me the other day that he actually eats more bagels now than he does pizza.
I think
Because
that's
he'll have 1 or 2 for breakfast, and he's 28, so he can do that. And he'll have like 2 for breakfast, and filled with stuff too. Like olives and rughetta and salmone and all kind of Philadelphia. He'll like stack them full, have
Okay.
2 of them for breakfast, and then also have some like later on for lunch.
so along those lines of bagels and what he's filling them with. Like, are you guys traditionalists? Like, are there things you eat with a bagel? Are there bagels that you make and bagels that you absolutely won't make?
Oh yeah.
Well,
Somebody told us to do blueberry, and I like
or
laughed.
cranberry,
Cranberry, yeah. I
and
laughed
we
in
were
his
like,
face.
no,
That's never gonna happen.
that's not gonna happen.
That's a muffin.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's never gonna happen.
So no, that's not gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, what about you? Considering you're not really from a bagel family, like what do you?
No,
What,
Puerto Ricans don't make bagels.
your bagel. With
I didn't have a
pork?
bagel until yeah.
Your pork.
Weren't you
bagel.
like an adult when you had a bagel?
Yeah, I was in my
Yeah.
20s when I had a bagel for the first time. Yeah, no, so that wasn't part of our culture, bagels.
Mm-hmm.
But she's
Yeah.
she's into cream cheese.
I do like.
She makes all the. She does
I
all
make the
schmears.
schmears.
Yeah.
Oh, so what are the smears
Yeah,
you're making?
that was thanks to Gloria, a friend of ours whose parents used to have a bagelry in was it Long Island?
I think Long Island, yeah.
And she's like, you have to have schmears, and I was like, schmears, and so she explained, what they were, and I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So thanks to Gloria, we started making schmears, and so that was but I'm the one who deals with that because he doesn't go anywhere near cream cheese.
Yeah, I have a thing about cream
So-
cheese. I don't like cream.
Yeah, he doesn't like it at all. So I make those.
Was
But
she-
he makes everything else.
What you smelled when you came in was the roasted garlic.
That's
Oh,
roasted
for the garlic
that
schmear?
I make for the schmear. Yeah, because we have
Ah.
a roasted garlic, a sun-dried, and a scallion schmear.
I'm gonna have to get that garlic schmear. That smelled so good when I was walking in. That
Yeah.
smelled really, really,
Yeah,
really
so
good.
yeah, so I roast the garlic for it. And, yeah, that's what it was.
So one of the things I thought was just like so charming and I loved was when we were talking about bagels and I was like, so do Italians really get into this? And you were saying that you wanted to make bagels a cultural bridge. And I just love that. Like we were talking about how like I think it was initially last week Steve, Linda, and I were talking about Lender's bagels and how he brought bagels to the U.S. and you guys are like doing that here. You're like the opposite of Lender's.
Well, we have a customer named Lillian who's Italian, but lived in the U.S. I think this is her story. I might. Sorry, Lillian, if you ever hear this and I'm getting your story wrong, but she lived in the U.S., loves bagels, buys our bagels, and then has like bagel parties and all Italians, and they come and she totally sets the whole thing up with capers and
Here?
Yeah, she just did it like this Sunday.
A
It's just,
bagel
like,
party.
Yeah, and did like a Sunday bagel party, and so I mean, there's Italians who are also exposing other Italians to it, and who are happy to show, or Americans who are giving other Italians
Yeah.
this kind of not just the taste experience of a bagel, but like the whole sort of brunch,
Like
put
cultural.
whatever you want on it
Yeah.
kind of a thing, which is cool.
But I mean, the Italians we would love to. I mean, we want to. That's our goal. One of our goals is to make it more well known here and for Italians to buy our bagels. Because I mean, right now the Italian clients we have, they're either
Like married.
they're either married to an American or someone international who's had bagels, or they've lived outside of Italy and have had bagels before and have missed eating them,
Yeah.
or they've heard about bagels and they're curious and they want to try them. But we want to make it more widely known, and so we've had different ideas for what we want to do, and one of those, is bridging this cultural, uh, bridging the two cultures in this way through food, which is always a really fun way to go about doing it.
Especially because there's so much that Italy has given Americans in terms of food culture, and not that much that we can be that proud of that we've given in return. I mean, like fast food and stuff like that, but not much that's taken seriously. Not that it's not taken seriously, but that's not really revered. Like, it's kind of seen as like, I don't know, that we don't have anything good food-wise to give back, and that's not true.
And I think the timing is right, because there was like that period of all the gourmet hamburger places.
Yeah.
Like finally, that was like the emblem of what American food was a burger, and then it became. I saw so many gourmet burgers popping up. It's nice. I think the bagel aspect to me, because it as a kid, like we'd get bagels on Sunday mornings. We'd, you have it with your family. It's a very loving concept.
It's a homey thing, and I think that helped also because a lot of people, when we started doing this, were stuck at home, and wanted something, that reminded them of like a comfort food and like a childhood comfort food. So yeah, I think that helped a lot. And people not going to work, and their kids not going to school, and having something at home that they could have for breakfast. I think that was definitely a contributing factor.
We've had quite a few people gift bagels to someone. They're either from the U.S. and they're gifting it to somebody that they know here who's going through a hard time or something, or they gift them as a birthday present, or we've had a few people do things like that. Or this one woman who gifted them to her fiance who's here, and she's not here, she's far away. So because they've gotten separated because of the pandemic and everything. So we've had a few stories like that.
And this story actually goes because now we've been reading a lot about the history of bagels, which was something that I never knew before. But once you start doing something like this, people are sending you links and everything all the time. And in the 1600s, it was, I guess, considered a gift that you would give to pregnant women. In Poland, in Krakow, there was some written accounts from like 1610, where it was considered a gift to pregnant women, also because of the circle, being like a symbol of life and longevity and things like that. So there is a history of it also being used as a gift, for different reasons.
Yeah, I think bagels are just awesome. Anyway, in general, I'm learning more about them now, and I just. I mean, besides the fact that aesthetically they're just so cute, looking, and then just they're delicious, and there's
yours
just so
are
much.
yours are particularly. Darius and I actually every now and then we're like, look at this picture.
Yeah.
Yours are particularly pretty. They're particularly cute.
Yeah.
They have really. I mean, you guys get the shape. One of the things I think that, I think we've become like super bagel, like hyper bagel critics, because I've experienced different bagels in Italy. And first it's like I'm always like the bread sucks, like it's just like off the bat. Or I'll take a look at them from a distance and I'm like, it's schiacciato, it's flattened, like that's not a bagel, unless it's a bagel chip, but it's not.
Yeah.
And when it was so funny because when yours arrived, we got the brown bag. Darius literally he pulls it out, holds it up to the light, and he was looking at its dimensional qualities first. Then we get onto the taste thing. As you know, we were so excited, and you guys really, in my opinion, I think you really hit the nail on the head for bagels. I mean, I'm not a bagel expert, but I'd like to think I am.
I'm really glad to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah. The worst are the ones that are made in the machine that they're perfectly round. Like I see pictures of these all the time, and they're just this perfect round, glossy. The hole in the center is like the exact distance away from the inner circumference is exact.
It's
like
form, right?
Yeah,
it's
just
done in a form.
way too perfect and way too, machine made and yeah. I can't
So
stand
all the bagels of all this bagel making, none of this, like it's not like you took lessons. This is all done from taste memory.
Not really. I mean, I've never had a lesson or anything like that. I mean, I tend to get really obsessed when I'm into anything, and will spend hours and hours and hours, like with 50 tabs open on my computer, watching every video and reading everything, and then I take a lot of notes of things that I do myself, and I do a lot of experiments myself to understand how. I mean, there's only 5 ingredients in the bagel, so I'll do different experiments to see exactly how each ingredient changes the outcome. So a lot of it was just trying to figure out, and bagels are tricky. Like when it comes to bread, between bread and pizza and bagels, like each one has different things that kind of make or break it. Do you ski?
I just learned how. I
Okay,
mean, 2 years
so
ago.
bread is like skiing, right? Like you can jump on a pair of skis and you can go down the hill and have a good time. But
Okay.
like technically you suck at it, but it's fun, right? And bread is kind of like that. Like you can make, without following almost any recipe, you can make a loaf of bread and it'll be enjoyable. Okay, it'll be bread. It'll be a far cry from like a nice, beautiful loaf of artisanal bread, but it's bread and it's good. Um, Bagels are more like snowboarding. Like you're just on your ass the whole first few days, and what you're doing is not really snowboarding. Like it's just much harder to get all the like the shape and everything. Actually, it's mostly the shape. The taste I don't think is all that difficult, but the shape is it's really tricky. And in fact, even we've made at this point a number of thousands of bagels, and they're so if it's colder one day when we make the dough and it sits out for a half an hour more, or the water temperature is 2 degrees different, the shape will be completely different the next day. Even though the recipe is exactly the same every day, all these little factors will change the consistency of the dough, and then that changes the shape of it.
Are both you and Emanuele making the shapes? Or is
Yeah,
it-
yeah, we do them. Yeah, we both do them by hand. Yeah.
So he's like kind of a natural then for someone who's never seen a bagel.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you're a
Well,
natural.
well, again, it's he's always I'm the one who's always obsessing over I want it more like this, and he's totally willing. If I say bake them longer, make it darker, bake it less, keep it softer, he's just like whatever. Like he's not gonna. I mean, he has his opinion of what he likes,
Right.
but he also admits that what he likes is what he likes, and that's not necessarily what people are looking for in a bagel. They happen to be about the same. They happen to be basically the same thing. Like I don't think he would like it if he had free reign to make it a different way. That he would make it in an unbagel way, if that makes any sense, because he appreciates that it's not like bread. It's not like this doughy, soft bread, and that's what's good about it.
But you'd still experiment and things like that, and like
Yeah.
and initially with certain bagels, like with the onion bagel, for example, that took a little bit of work
Yeah, that took a while
to
to
get
get
it to
right,
the
yeah.
way that he wanted.
And that's where the weird memory thing that you were talking about came in, because it's not like I have or thought I had these really strong memories. Like I would taste a bagel that I would make and think this is good or it's not good, or I would have my preference. Like I like them quite I want to say well done, but I don't like them to be too soft. I like them to be pretty crispy on the outside, like a distinct difference between that thin outer crust and the inside. And I don't like them to be super big, like super high and big and doughy, like some people make them. I think they should be kind of compact and dense and a little bit, have a little bit of a crunch to it, right? But I can't remember if that's the way anybody in particular makes them, or if it's just the way I like them. So a lot of it was, just making it to my own preference. And I'm sure my own preference comes from, growing up with them as well. It's not like I wanted something that was, that was totally different. But when it came to the onion ones, I didn't realize that I had these memories until I started making them, because we were putting the onion on the outside like a topping, like dried onion, and it would just burn and it would smell terrible and it would taste terrible. And I was looking at all these forums, like how do people make onion bagels, and everybody had these different opinions, and they were all kind of ridiculous. Like they were all things that I didn't really want to do. But they were we tried reconstituting them, like soaking the dried onions in water and then trying to put them on, but then they would just fall off because they were wet and they wouldn't stick. We tried spraying them, like we would put the dried onions on it as a topping, and then we would spray it right before it went in so it wouldn't be so dry. And that didn't work, they still burned. Like we were trying all this different stuff, and then I was like, I feel like they need to be inside the bagel. And then I was Googling, like, does anybody make bagels with them in the actual dough? And there were people who would put in either cooked ones, or maybe there were even people who would put raw ones in, but I was like, that's not gonna work, that's not gonna happen. So we started to try it, putting them in the dough, and the first time I smelled it and saw it and tasted it, then it brought back all these memories, because then I could remember seeing them in my house in the bag and trying to figure out which ones were the onion ones, and having to look really closely and kind of poke in it and see which ones were the onion ones. And the smell of it and taste of it, the second I ate it, then I was like, yeah, this is totally my childhood.
It
Then
totally
it came back,
transported
and then
you
I was
back
like,
to your childhood. Yeah.
And then it brought back other memories. Like then I remembered, like family bringing them in the suitcase, like friends bringing yours, and no, then I just remembered all this stuff because I never really. It's weird to think that something is so prevalent in your life that it's almost unimportant. It's almost like a fish doesn't know what water is. It's kind of like that. Like these are something that were just so much a part of my life that I've never given it any real thought. About the fact of being Jewish, of growing up with bagels and this kind of food culture. Like it's just not anything that I ever really considered. Because it was just so obvious. It was always just there.
Well, I feel like it's funny because I remember I can tell you even every single time the bagels come to our house, but it's just the first time the feeling, like the excitement that my whole family had for your bagels, because it was like someone came home from a long trip. You know what I mean? From like years of being away, like the bagels came home to us, which was such a great feeling. And it was so funny because if you think about it, like our kids are raised culturally Italian. Like they've experienced bagels going to the U.S. in the summertime, but really, honestly, like I didn't think they had such a tie to bagels the way I did, because I grew up going to the local deli every Sunday. And
what was it called?
It was called Jaime's.
Jaime's.
I mean, of course.
Yeah, you can't.
In Ballackinwood, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I love hearing you just wax on about bagels, and I had no idea that you've become this like bagel historian too.
Yeah. It's been interesting reading about stuff like I was telling you about lenders, because I asked my family. I think this was the conversation that we had, because and I'm not in touch with any. I don't even really have very much family, but I have a couple of cousins, and I have an aunt who just turned 85 today. Actually, was her birthday. Happy birthday! And I sent them messages. I haven't talked to them in years, and I told them what I was doing, and asked them if they had any, if they remembered buying bagels and taking them in their suitcases with them. And so I was asking my one cousin if she remembers where we got them, and she was the one who said, well, Lenders had their big factory in New Haven, and I grew up just outside New Haven in a little town called Orange, where they also had a shop, where they had like a little bagel shop, and so they were telling me about this, which I didn't remember or know about or anything, and so then I started looking it up and seeing into the history of of the Lenders family, and just what kind of, his bagels were totally industrial and not anything that I would want to emulate, but just this enterprising, I don't know if it's something that even exists anymore, but just this attitude of like, the guy bought a bakery, like this Italian bakery, and he was using a breadstick machine, like an extractor that made breadsticks to make the dough in a kind of log shape that he could then, roll out into a bagel. And so he was using this equipment that wasn't, really designed for it. And he was making bagels, and then had all these orders that were like, it would accumulate on one day of the week, and it was hard for him to manage. So he figured out, how to freeze them. And that was how they were the family that basically brought frozen bagels to the whole rest of the United
everyone's
States.
Table, yeah.
But when he did it, like other people didn't know what it was. So he would go and tour around the United States, and he would give out samples of bagels and just do all this stuff to like sell his his thing, which I don't know, there's something about that just seems like very old timey for one,
super charming,
very
super
American,
old, super
like American dream,
yes.
that you go from being like a Jewish baker, like a one man show.
You have your like little valise full of bagels that you bring door to door.
And then the next thing you know, like a few decades later, you're like the biggest, you're
the biggest industrial,
sell the craft
exactly.
For however many millions or billions. Yeah, no, it's an incredible story. I don't see us following in those footsteps here.
Well, I think you guys are doing a pretty good job. I mean, I love when you guys repost on social media the glee that everybody has for your bagels.
Yeah.
So and it seems all over Italy, because now your bagels are all over Italy, right?
Yeah. We ship them all over, and we've had good success with that. They seem to get almost everywhere in a day, sometimes maximum 2 days. There's a handful of people that have had problems that are due to either like an incorrect address or whatever, not being home or who knows what. But I would say, well over 95% of the people get them in a day, which is
I'd say
great.
the majority, SDA has been, touch wood, has been good to us.
Yeah.
So that's been going really well.
Well, one thing I want to mention, because I can't help but like loud your pickles. Like, I know I just briefly talked on it, and one of the things that I think is really great is that it wasn't, it isn't simply bagels. It's the schmears, it's the bagels, it's the pickles. Like I feel like you have encapsulated bagel culture in your menu, which I know that there are other things, but like those are to me the fundamentals. And if you didn't have the pickles and the spicy stingers, copyright.
Yes.
Because if you want the spicy pickles, that's what they're called. I was just, it was so happy when I saw, when it wasn't just simply bagels, I was like, oh my God, like you did it. You brought that moment back to me. Yeah. And it really made me happy. And
So what else did you guys used to get at the deli, at Jaime's?
At Jaime's, like we get pastrami on rye. Like I'm like a big pastrami on rye person.
Yeah.
I know you guys being vegetarians, it's not that important, but it still is like when I find a good pastrami sandwich, it's like, oh.
So we've already thought that eventually
Whitefish.
we'd like to have a bagel shop. Yeah, whitefish is a thing that people are into.
I know.
But yeah, that's not. Yeah, I don't even know where we would start with something like that. Especially as a vegetarian, and then also whitefish just seems like Even when I wasn't vegetarian, it's not really something I would eat. Can you hear anything with the bells ringing?
Yeah, we're gonna pick it up. I guess it's about 6 o'clock, right?
Must be.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've thought it would be great to eventually have a bagel shop, and we sell them now at the Pizza Taglio place. He sells them, and he does sandwiches and stuff like that.
His pizza Italia place is called Mr. Crunch.
Mr. Crunch, yeah.
Okay.
So now he's always, every day he's got a certain number of bagels, and then you can get it, like he'll open it, toast it, and fill it with whatever you want. And so it's kind of like build your own. And we've thought it would be great eventually to expand that, and so we've already discussed, would we have like smoked salmon, would we have pastrami and things like that, which I think
Gravlax.
Brisket.
Oh.
I think I could get into making. I'm not really into salmon, but I think I could get into figuring out how to make really good pastrami, and I'd like to make my own. And I know that there's the place that we sell our bagels to in Trastevere, they have pastrami, but they buy it, they don't make it, and I definitely want to make it.
Well,
I'm the more vegetarian of the family, BM Viola.
More vegetarian, meaning she actually doesn't eat meat.
Yeah.
I'm vegetarian, but I do eat meat.
Eats meat,
Yeah, that's the kind of vegetarian I am.
But I don't. So we've had this discussion because I don't really want to have meat, but I also realize that that's part of, I guess, the bagel culture, especially with with the sandwiches part of it. So we've talked about it. I'm kind of not sold on the idea. I guess I would be a bit more lenient.
She's less rigid than her usual.
If we
iron-fisted.
Yes, exactly. If it's done properly, if it's sourced well, if it's and it's not something we would go to the Conad and pick up,
No,
something.
we would find a butcher
Yeah.
to get us exactly what we need, and we
Well,
would
I
do
think
it.
I think what you're saying is it also ties back into the philosophies of the Beehive.
Yeah.
You
definitely.
guys are, one of the things that I should have mentioned from the very beginning is the Beehive is noted as being the eco-minded, very sustainable focused place in Rome. In fact, I think you guys kind of started that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say you started the whole concept in Italy.
No,
but I
as
mean,
far
like
as
for you, for the
hostels, as far
hostels,
as-
that you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
were the,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
for
breakaway.
Sure, for sure.
sure.
I can say that without a doubt.
Yeah.
And it'd be, I think that's great that you would take that to the bagels and the potential bagel shop and to the Bubby and the Howard. Because I did remember the names of those sandwiches that are coming out.
Yeah,
I'm like, because I'm waiting
the
for them.
Howie and Mitchell.
The Howie and
Bubby.
Mitchell.
Yeah.
And and there should be a Bubby, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be a Bubby.
I mean, everybody,
Everybody has a Bubby.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
I mean-
I definitely want to make sauerkraut for sure. I'd also make because I.
Oh,
make,
yeah,
I
He
mean,
sauerkraut.
He makes sauerkraut,
Yeah.
so he can.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to think. Now this is what I'm going to be thinking about tonight before I go
Like
to
a
bed.
good rye sandwich with sauerkraut. And,
Do you make rye bread, too?
Yeah, there's actually rye in the bread that I gave you.
Oh.
It's like it's like a semi-integrale and a little bit of rye, and you can just barely taste it. But it's not like a rye. I mean, rye. I think the rye bread that you're thinking of, like an American deli rye, is not that much rye flour. It's maybe, I don't know, not even quite half, because it's not dark, But it's the caraway seeds. Would you get those seeds
Right.
in it? Yeah, that's the flavor that I think most people identify with. That kind of Jewish rye bread is the caraway.
So first I want to say thank you because, as I told you before, I'm like a sesame bagel person, and I literally didn't believe in an everything bagel, the same way I don't believe in white chocolate.
I don't believe in white
And
chocolate
I don't
either.
believe in white chocolate.
It's not even chocolate.
It's not. And I didn't believe in the everything bagel until you told me I should try it. You sent me one, and I deliberately went out and got this French salty butter because I did it exactly the way you said. I
Yeah.
toasted it, slathered it with my little French butter, salty, and it was really good. And also, again, it's just aesthetically pleasing. It's
Yeah.
a really pretty bagel.
Yeah.
So I wanted to thank you for that.
Yeah, I like the colors. The onion though is the best. The onion.
The onion's a
the
good bagel,
onion
too,
with butter is
but
the
I really-
best.
It's a personal preference. I mean,
It's my favorite.
Well,
for
it's his
sure.
favorite.
Well,
But I really like the pumpernickel, and not very many people are into it.
I've
like
got
it's
to
kind
try
of
your
a-
pumpernickel because I love
I
pumpernickel
didn't give
bagels.
you one. I'll have to give
No.
you one. Yeah, it's a little bit like it's got this quality. The first time Emanuele had one, he was like, it's kind of like toothpaste. Like it's kind of like I feel like I just brushed my teeth. And when he said it, I was like, yeah, it
Interesting.
actually kind of is because it has that. You know when you go to an Indian restaurant and afterwards they give you like the little bowl of seeds, you know,
Yeah.
like the little mix thing to like
To like cleanse the
refresh
palate.
your,
Yeah.
your palate. It's a little bit like that, but
never
there's
really
something
thought about
about it that I don't know. I really dig it. I don't know. There's
I mean,
something about
I'm
it that I
you know,
really
it's funny
like.
because in our house, like, again, like, so cinnamon raisin bagels don't interest me.
Me neither.
Um, Darius and
I
Amelia,
shouldn't admit that, but they do.
Darius and Amelia for sure,
Yeah.
like they're like so
What
into
do
it.
they eat them with? Do they put like jam on it or
They
what?
will put anything on them again, which
I've
Because
had
they'll
it-
do like
I've
a
had-
sandwich,
I've
like
had
a
it with-
salty
I've had it
sandwich.
with cream cheese.
Yeah.
Dar does
Yeah.
it with cream cheese, onions,
Yeah, I've had
and
it
salmon.
with cream cheese.
Really? Because yeah, Emanuele is always like, he's like, he asked me too, like, what do people do? They eat these like just as a sweet?
So
or
there's
is it-
like you can eat it. You can do it. Like they do it as like snack, as fun.
Yeah,
They'll put
yeah.
honey on it, or no, not honey. They'll put jams on it, and then he
maybe
does savory.
jam would be good. Maybe I'd have to try
I've
that.
seen people put jam
Like
on it.
butter and jam would be nice.
I mean, I tried it. It was good. I'm just
Yeah.
not that. But I realized like in that they were like, because I was like, let's get the pumpernickel, and they were like, no. Like, what? I was like, how could you, like, how is that possible? Like in the lineup, there has to be pumpernickel.
Yeah, yeah.
But apparently in our family lineup, no.
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 But
But
we-
do they even know what it tastes like, or what it? Do they have
I
any
don't
idea
know.
what
I
it
don't know.
is?
I
It's
mean,
a
maybe they.
very particular. I mean, I admit
She's
it.
not
I
into
don't
it.
like it. It's not my taste.
I mean, I love it. I mean, pumpernickel bagel, I would even do with some mustard and some salami, or I do it with
Yeah.
pastrami.
Yeah, yeah, that would
I
be
mean,
great.
there are many things you can do with a
Yeah,
pumpernickel
that
bagel.
sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I mean, I don't need any of that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it does. It
You're so
sounds-
kind. You're so
it
sweet.
sounds good.
I'll be nice to you, Erica. It sounds
Yeah.
okay.
No, but the mustard and stuff. I like mustard, so.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys. This has been such a great conversation, and I'm going to tell you. So, you know, this year has been crazy for everyone, and you know, everybody's had their ups and downs, and we had two big ups this year. I'm going to tell you them. So, our huge up was like the moment that our family, like, you know, I think every day was Groundhog's Day. It was just like doing the same thing. We were with each other all the time. We love being with each other, but we were just like, is this all there is? You know.
Yeah.
Only 2 times did we
That was by what,
cry.
March 15th?
Did we cry with glee? With shout out with glee was one the day the bagels came, and we were like smelling the bags, and it was just like insane. And the only other day that has paralleled that day, and I don't know how into Star Wars you are, but season 2 of The Mandalorian finale
We've
when.
not seen the Mandalorian.
Okay, well
And
I'm
we're
with-
huge
We're
Star Wars
huge
fans.
Star Wars
Huge
fans.
Star Wars
Oh my
We
God, I
haven't
can't
seen-
even tell. Okay, then I can't even tell you it because but I'm just gonna say it because everybody else knows what I'm talking about. Season 2 finale, last scene, was like the best thing that God gave me ever, and the bagels, like,
Oh my gosh.
like it was like
Now I
Wow.
have to see the Mandalorian.
Well,
Now
where
you
do
have
you see it? You have
But
to
it's
stream
season
it?
2 that
we got
this happened?
season 2
Okay.
finale. That last scene, the emotions that what came out of me were the exact same emotions that I had when your bagels first arrived.
Gosh, now I have to see it.
Yeah.
So,
So there's like childbirth. There's, you know.
I mean, I don't even remember that part, right?
But I remember when the day the bagels came and the Mandalorian.
I do.
finale.
Well, I think childbirth is one of those, you know, where you're like,
Do I have a kid?
Yeah.
you're like
She's the one who
trying
you're
to
stuck
forget.
in the house with every day.
Oh right,
Yeah.
right. No, I'm with those bagels.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this before we end this. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find the Beehive and where they can find Beehive bagels?
Okay, you do this. I've talked way too much, more than my share.
Okay, so the Beehive, well, the thing is the bagels are available only by advance order. So, I'm a little bit loath to say where the Beehive is exactly, just because I don't want
No,
people to come knocking on the door.
Website.
Okay, so there's the Beehive. The Beehive hostel is on the World Wide Web.
What's the website?
It's the-beehive.com, and then Beehive Bagels is beehivebagels.com.
All attached.
Yeah. Yep.
So if anybody wants to send anybody bagels in Rome, or if you are anywhere in Italy, or if you are in Italy, beehivebagels.com.
Yep. And we're on all social medias, beehivebagels.com, or beehivebagels.com, Beehive Bagels.
Oh yeah, take a look.
Beehive Rome.
Take
So
a look at Beehive Bagels on Instagram because it brings me joy every day. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ciao Bella. If you'd like to know more about today's guest, please visit ciaobella.co and click on the podcast link, or go directly to ciaobella.co/podcast. Want more Italy? You can find all my episodes on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher. When you have time, subscribe to iTunes and rate the podcast. What are you waiting for? And if you want to be part of the podcast, email me or DM me your Italy questions. To learn more about me and my work, go to my website, ericafirpo.com, and follow my Italy adventures on Instagram at ericafirpo. Ciao, Bella! And a very big thank you and hug to Massimiliano Yonta and Disc to Disc Studios, the producers of Ciao Bella, who continue to make me sound and feel great.